This is Let's Talk Farmers Markets, the podcast that is all about farmers markets and what makes them special places to shop for your favorite local foods. I'm your host, Christina Ferroli. Welcome, everyone. Today's podcast is on social media for farmers markets. I am Christina Ferroli, your host, and with me I have Hannah Baer, who's with the Garfield Park Farmers Market and the original Farmers Market in downtown Indianapolis, and Mandy Wright Jarrett, who is market manager with the Kokomo Farmers Market and the original Farmers Market in downtown Indy. Both of today's guests will share with us their experience, tips, best practices on social media for farmers markets. Hannah, would you please introduce yourself and share a little bit about your farmers market?
Hi, I am Hannah Baer, and I have been the market manager for the Garfield Park Farmers Market this is my 6th season now, and I have just recently taken on the original Farmers Market in downtown Indy, and this will be my 1st season with them.
Thank you, Hannah. Mandy, would you please introduce yourself and share about your past and current role with farmers markets?
Yes, my name is Mandy Wright Jarrett, and I got my start with the Kokomo Downtown Farmers Market probably 15 years ago, and I directed that market for about 5 years, and then did some food-related things in between, and then co-managed, and then managed the original Farmers Market downtown, and took a break starting this season, and Hannah was sweet enough to take over that big event. And then I also was I managed for a season the Fort Bend Farmers Market, and then ended up directing and taking over that market and ran that, I believe, I need to double check the timing on that, maybe 4 years. And that's more of Far East Indianapolis stuff. So that was a pretty big area, which needs a lot more food locations. So learned a lot in that experience. And I'm currently working for I'm a private contractor and a food consultant for the Marion County Health Department. I work with small grocery stores. And then starting next season, I will be opening a small farmers market at my location. We're currently putting in a farm and hoping to suck Hannah into that market as well. It's my evil plan. I love working with her. So yeah, that's what's going on right now.
Fantastic. Lots on your plate. Lots of good things around farmers markets for sure. So, social media. Is social media important for farmers markets? Either one of you, Hannah?
Yeah, social media is incredibly important with everybody getting most of their information from their phones these days. It's nice to be present and engaging and informative on multiple social media platforms at a time, because age ranges go between different platforms. There's usually more of an older age range on Facebook, and then a younger age range on Instagram, and then even younger on TikTok, with a few doing all three. Twitter is in there, X is in there periodically, but I do not have experience with that one. But I just think it's really important to be very engaging and as informative as possible and fun on your social media, because that's mainly the way people are learning about events these days.
Thank you. Mandy, how about you? Your thoughts?
Yes, I would agree. You want to make it fun. I've purposely chosen not to do TikTok just for my own mental health, because I was doing so much with Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So you have to kind of pick what your strengths are. And we had, I believe, interns in the past do TikTok. Twitter for cities, at least for the city of Indianapolis. X now was always a really strong one in the past for farmers markets. For the ones that I was working with, had a really strong following, and it kind of targeted if you had more of a market that was more business downtown oriented. But I think Twitter has more of kind of a business feel, or X. Instagram, it's so important to tell a story and to make it personal, make people connect. I'm sure Hannah can vouch for this, but it's almost like posting a photo is not even something you do anymore. It's all reels, all videos. People pay so much more attention if it's more engaging, interactive, and it's personal. I think Garfield Farmers Market does a great job of making it personal. They post a lot of photos of their patrons, which I love following what they're doing. So it makes it personal and heartwarming, and that's important. And social media is important too, because it makes people understand how your market's representing your community. So it's really important to showcase those vendors and showcase who's at the market, who your musicians are, who your artists are, who's coming to the market, so everyone feels welcome, and it makes it accessible.
Thank you, Mandy. Hannah, how do you feel about TikTok and Reels and using those to engage your customers, getting people to markets?
So with my Garfield Park Farmers Market, I do not run the social media. I will make graphics for the feed and for the stories, but I don't do the posting and I don't do most of the data or content collecting for that. Our social media person with the Garfield Park Farmers Market is an older millennial, as am I, and we do not have a TikTok for that one. For Original Farmers Market, I'm actually working on getting content put together and enough kind of B-roll and ideas and templates put together to start a TikTok, because that is really super engaging and has kind of taken, I would say, some of the front running for social media these days. But it is a very fast moving platform, and you have to be very regular with your posting and very regular and clear with your content to get a good following, which is tricky and very daunting. So I am setting myself up for success by kind of planning a lot on the back end. And if it doesn't get even put together this year, then I might start and launch the TikTok next year. My second biggest posting generator that I do is Reels and stories on our Instagram. I always put in the grid, I'll put our lineup for the week, and I might put some cute photos or something like that, but everything else, or everything, is going into the stories. I try to do a reel a week at least, and then I try to see who is engaging with what and how often it's being engaged to kind of pick up where I need to put more time into. So kind of seeing what my customers like best, seeing what the vendors engage with the best, and then kind of going from there. But it is super important to be posting pretty consistently on both of those platforms and doing posts that are more easy to engage with, like stories and reels and TikToks.
Thank you. So it sounds like Facebook has definitely dropped down in the lineup of social media. Is that more of a age? Because I know you mentioned age earlier, Hannah. Is that more because of the age demographics of who's following your market, or are you doing it intentionally to draw out a younger customer base for your market?
Definitely not with the intention to draw a younger customer base. I will take any customers that want to come and see me. My biggest thing with Facebook is Meta for Facebook is a little bit clunky. Putting together posts is a little bit trickier. I always make sure to post our lineup on our feed. I always make sure to put the lineup in Facebook stories. And I have created a weekly event that just continues to roll until the season started for the Original Farmers Market. And that's most of the posting that I do on there. It's also shared with City Markets. So I post to City Markets account for the Original Farmers Market, and City Market's not open anymore, temporarily closed so that they can do the repairs. So I am not posting on there as much because the biggest part of City Market is not fully functional. And I just mainly want the customers to see what's going on at the farmers market and to come out. If there is something big or exciting that the city is also promoting, then I might also post that on our Facebook. But for now, I just try and keep it as clear as possible. Who's going to be at the market this week, when it is, where we are, and that even if it rains, you can still come. That is about as much as I do on Facebook, just because it's a little bit clunky, and I don't want to fill up the feed of City Market's Facebook page. Now with Garfield Park Farmers Market, we pretty much do the same thing because Facebook feeds get lost so easily and Facebook stories aren't they're not utilized as much as Instagram stories or TikToks. So we usually just post our lineup. We might do some cross promotion from our Instagram, but we only do more important stories that we're really, or more important feeds posts that we're trying to get out there. For the most part, we don't do a lot of sharing on our Facebook just because everything gets lost in that feed so easily, and the algorithm is a little bit clunky for Facebook.
Mandy, do you have any thoughts on the different types and which ones seem to be resonate the most with your customer base?
Yeah, I would definitely, it's funny, like every 6 months, I feel like social media is changing so quickly. So me just being out of the game for less than a year, it's already changed so much. But I do social media promoting farmers who are working with, say, a grocery store I'm working with. We did a little pop-up farm stand Friday, so I did social media for that. So it's changing quickly, but currently, or in the past when I was doing social media, one thing I really enjoyed too was just, it's nice to have that social media platform for quick updates like weather alerts, things like that. All the markets we usually run are rain or shine. There's still always confusion with that. People are always wanting to know up until the last minute, are you open? Are you closed? So it's a nice way to just remind people that you're open, rain or shine, or if you have to cancel due to lightning or high winds. I always would do a live, some sort of a live posting most of the time with Fort Bend. Fort Bend was a smaller market, and I had more time to put time into those things when I was running the original market. That downtown market was busy. I was also the director of facilities for Indianapolis City Market, so I was spread pretty thin. So the posting for that market would happen a couple days, like 2 days before I would be posting what special event we would be having. If we had a sponsor, the social media platforms are great for creating an audience for your sponsors. So if you have a sponsorship package, it's a wonderful way to pitch to your potential sponsors of what kind of exposure they will have. And then that will help you raise funds to then help pay for your market. So there was a period of time before Indianapolis City Market was going under renovations. And the last year we didn't do it because there were actually issues with the bell, but there's a historic bell there. And we would ring it every morning to start the market. And by doing so, we'd have the sponsor ring the bell, and that there would then create a huge audience. Everyone expected it. Like Hannah said, it was consistent. Consistency is everything. People would expect it, and it created exposure. So we had a lot of people for years spend a nice chunk of change just being a sponsor for the market for the day, just so they could ring that darn bell. So I think creating something like that on your social media is a great way to create funds. And Instagram's still pretty much my favorite because those reels are so powerful. The outreach and the number of clicks, you can see how long they've watched it. If you can keep it short and sweet and fast and entertaining, you'll get a lot more exposure than versus just posting a picture. That's been my experience so far. But I think the more you can diversify your social media platforms, I'm kind of like Hannah, I'm not picky. I want to target everybody and anybody, but consistency is really important. So each market's different. So Fort Bend, I would always post the night before and the day of. Original would be the day before, and then we would do lives the day of. But just shooting live coverage, walking around talking to vendors, patrons, shooting because produce is seasonal, coming in each day, what's different, what's new. Just showing everyone an update of everything, I think is really powerful.
Sounds good. Thank you. So that leads me to another question. What types of posts should market managers be creating? And I think these tend to be more, I think of these more in terms of Facebook. I don't know how they necessarily translate into Instagram. So if you can kind of help us, if there's newbie market managers or some of those seasoned market managers that don't have social media skills, if you can share some thoughts and tips for them, what types of posts should market managers be creating? And I know Mandy gave a little bit of how often, but maybe how often. Do you want to take that, Hannah?
Sure. What's cool about farmers markets is there's never a lack of content. So we always post, we do at Garfield Park Farmers Market, we'll do Humans of the Market, which is kind of a riff off of Humans of New York. If you've seen that on Facebook and Instagram, you just stop a person. I think we kind of do it based on vibes. That might be a cute family. It might be a first time person. It might be somebody with a cool outfit, with a cool pet who bought way more flowers than you would expect one person to buy at the farmer's market. And we'll just stop them and say, hi, what brought you here? What do you like about this market? Something like that. And we'll take a picture of them. We'll post their quote. And people love that. People love seeing their friends featured. People love seeing themselves featured. People love that the market gets personal with its customers. So that's a really, really fun one. It's always a favorite. I love a dog post. It's a really good way to remind people on your feed, on your grid, on your story, the pet rules for your farmer's market, if it's a pet friendly market. So I might find a really cute picture of a dog, might find a fun cat, might find a lizard or something at the market, take a picture of it. And then I just, in the caption or in a comment post, this is what we expect of your pet if you bring it to the market. So that's a good way to push information out there while also featuring a pet. We've done pet features. So we've asked people, if you bring your dog, take a picture of them in front of your favorite vendor and tag our market, and we might share you. We always ask, if you do a market haul, tag us and put that in your stories and we'll share it. So that's a big thing for us too. Anytime people tag us in our stories, if it's, appropriate or topical, then we will also share it to our page. People love having their stuff shared onto our feed. So that's always a lot of fun. We will posting your lineup for the week. We also do vendor features. That's a really good one, telling, a little bit of the vendor's backstory, how they got started, and then what they're selling, how long they'll be at the market, talk a little bit about their schedule. And it just helps our customers learn a little bit more about who's at the market and who they're supporting, and maybe encouraging them to try something new.
How often do you post, Hannah, for either Market Garfield or?
Original Farmers Market, I post the market lineup the day before, and then I post usually a reel at the market or sometime during the week after the market. I'm trying to get a little bit more consistent with what I put out there, but it is just me, and I do need to get a little bit better about planning my posts ahead of time. Super important. And then I always share the tagged posts to our stories. Garfield Park Farmers Market, we post the vendor lineup the day before the market. We post vendor stories. So anytime the vendors tag us with something that they're bringing, a special, something like that, we usually post any of those to our story on Thursdays or Fridays. And then we do like to do a post sometime midweek for the most part, just something topical. It might be a humans at the market. It might be produce that's coming out this season, or it might just be to let the vendors or let the customers know if anything special is going on. We also do a newsletter, and we post graphics from that to the story the day before the market too. That includes the musician that'll be at the market, any community outreach, any children's programming, stuff like that.
Thank you. Mandy, what are your thoughts on different posts?
So I think it's important. I love that Hannah posts the vendor lineup the night before. I never did that. I would do it like beginning of the season of who was signed up. And I kind of wish I would have done that more. So I think that's a really strong quality that all markets should do. I would usually post the day before, like when we had a brand new vendor coming in who wasn't on that original lineup. I'd post at the beginning of the season. So I would do a feature on that. I would always post the day before for the original market, who the musician was, what the activity was, what were the engaging things that we were offering at the market that day. It's kind of like bait to draw people in. And whenever we have certain vendors attending that we know are great bait, and Hannah knows what I'm talking about, like my dad's sweet corn, that's a great bait that will draw people in. Vendors joke that you can't make a lot of money off eggs, but it's a great bait to pull them into their space if you're selling chicken eggs. So you got to think about what are things that are going to grab people's attention and make them come to the market. So sometimes I may feature like ice cream or something sweet because everybody wants sugar, even though we want to, push those healthy options and choices. I would always make a big deal about our SNAP approved market and our Fresh Bucks program. We had partnered, and all the markets that Hannah does as well, it does this, but Fresh Bucks has a really great platform. So making use of other people's platforms who are partnering with you is really important because they have a huge audience, you have an audience, and you combine forces, it makes you more powerful. So I would always share all of the Fresh Bucks posts, create my own Fresh Bucks posts, and tag them in it as well, because that just helps blow out a much bigger audience seeing all of your posts. Fresh Bucks is through the Marion County Health Department, Marion County Public Health Department, and it's helped people have a bigger buying power with their SNAP cards or SunBucks or EBT, whatever you want to call it. Some people call them still PEBT, but they're no longer, they're SunBucks. So if they're coming to the market using their benefits to purchase food, they can also use their card to then receive a match for produce at the market. So if they're spending $10 with their SNAP card, we'll match an additional $10 or $20. Right now it's up to $30. There's a lot of additional funds right now, so we're trying to get that spent. So it's awesome. And that gives them a bigger buying power. And it's a full circle program because not only is it increasing people's chances of having access to fresh produce, giving them that flexibility to try new things, but it's also putting money in farmers' pockets, local farmers. So it's a full circle program. And again, they have an amazing social media platform as well on Instagram and Facebook, a little bit of Twitter. So again, that partnership can go a long way. So any partnerships anyone can make with other folks on social media platforms is really powerful. Also, the night before every market for the original market, I didn't do this as much with Fort Bend, but with the original market, I would remind all the vendors, please share our post, tag us in your post. Every one of those vendors has an audience as well. They can benefit by building their audience, by tagging our market with them, help build up their business. And they can also benefit us in helping us create more people to join our audience. So I feel like the more people you partner with, whenever we had a sponsor, we would ask them to tag us. We'd make use of each other's audiences to keep building up our numbers. That was always a really powerful tool for keeping fresh eyes on your social media. And eventually they show up. Eventually it helps keep up your foot traffic as well. So I think partnerships and doing different types of posts and tagging and hashtags are super important. For the Fort Bend Farmers Market, we did Get Fresh at the Fort hashtag, and the original farmers market was hashtag the original gathering place, the original farmers market. Those hashtags have been used for years. So when you use those hashtags, it just immediately pulls up all this past really dynamic information that people can look at. So I think those are really great tools as well.
Thank you. And do you want to speak a little bit about Double Up Bucks, which is the Indiana program? Because Fresh Bucks is specifically for Indianapolis, correct?
Yes. So yes. And I'll be honest, I'm not as familiar. I mean, I work with some of the Double Up stuff. I know people can use Double Up cards, but I don't feel comfortable like sharing a lot of information about it. Cause I'm still ignorant to some of it. I'm still learning a lot about it.
But Double Up is for farmers markets across Indiana, while Fresh Bucks is strictly limited to Indianapolis, correct?
Yes.
And then I know other markets, they fundraise and raise their own dollars for their own nutrition incentive matching program, which is what Double Up Indiana and Fresh Bucks is considered, because they match either dollar per dollar SNAP EBT or SunBucks or EBT, as you claimed. And as Mandy said, these are really powerful programs because they give more buying power. People are able to buy more fresh local food at farmers markets.
And whenever you tag any of those organizations, try to develop a relationship with the people who are handling those social media accounts, and then they'll be sure to then share some of your posts. A lot of the social media accounts that I was tagging, I had a working relationship with the person who's in charge of their social media. So a lot of it's about networking and knowing all those people doing that. Now, for all those market managers, market directors, whoever they might be, some of those folks may be a one-woman, one-man operation. That's just a lot to do. So just do the best you can. But if there is just one of you, that time is valuable. That community time of networking is valuable because that will help expand your audience by maybe you don't post as much, but you have other people tagging and hashtagging and things, and that connectivity, it can be really powerful if you're just a one-woman, one-man show.
What are your thoughts on posting? Have you ever posted before the market, like on off hours, like when the market wasn't running? What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I would always post the night before. Sometimes I'd post after market to reflect if we had something special happen or if we had a great turnout. I think the more you post, the better. I do agree with Hannah that consistency is super important, but the more you can post, the better. I mean, if you can post all the time, I'm more about just, you want people to get like, great, another post. Like, you want people to be sick of you, because the more they see you, the more they hear you, they're more inclined to show up at your market physically and spend those dollars. So I'm all about over posting. But sometimes, I mean, when I was running the original market those last 2 years, I was really stretched thin. So it was really hard to do a good job, as I say, the first 2 years at Fort Bend, where I had all the time in the world. I also think it's important, I did want to bring this up during the conversation, is that if you can make the post more accessible with different languages, a couple of years ago, if you use Google Translate, it was a little touch and go if it was correct or not. And I always have someone else check it when we were doing Spanish, my Spanish coordinator, and she was fantastic. And now I'm using Google Translate again currently for posting for this other gig I have, and it's much more accurate. So I can do Arabic, Spanish, Burmese. It's much more, but I always put at the end of the post, this translation was created by Google Translate, so people understand if there are mistakes, it's not intentional. It was through Google Translate. But I think it's really important to post in different languages if you can, and just make it as accessible as possible. I unfortunately don't have that superpower, and I'm not bilingual. I only speak, English, and that's it. So, but there's so many tools with technology now that you can do a lot of different things. So Fort Bend, we tried really hard to post everything in English and Spanish, because of our audience was majority Spanish speaking and English speaking. So we posted that way. The original farmers market, we did a little bit of that slowly that last year or two. Getting better and better, but it's important to make those posts accessible for everyone as well.
Thank you. How about you, Hannah? Any thoughts on how often to post and just what types of posts?
So during the winter months, we go relatively dormant. So our applications for the Garfield Park Farmers Market open in February. We always make sure to blast those across all of our social media, put it in our Instagram link tree, put it in links in the bio, and just make it very accessible for folks to apply for the farmers market. I know that it is super important once leading up to the farmers market to wake your customers back up because the algorithms are post-based. So the more active you are on social media, the more you will get promoted. So we try to post a little bit more frequently. I've been told that you should post like every day for 30 days leading up to your market to get, it doesn't have to be on the grid. It can be the stories, the grid, any combination of the two, commenting on other posts for your vendors, stuff like that, just getting your name out there to kind of wake up the algorithm. We are trying to get better about that, but it is a lot of work. But yeah, just trying to make sure after you go dormant for an amount of time to start waking up your algorithm and start engaging your customers and engaging your vendors again. So we do tend to do that in the couple months leading up to the market. We start waking up and posting our new vendors and our returning vendors, and we tell everybody to welcome them back. And we let people know, if there's anything new with our parking or new with our space, or if we've added some folks to the board, we'll do a board shout out. And then for the original farmers market this year, I posted, the application is open. As soon as I had it opened up, I posted 1 month out, 2 months out. These are our returning vendors. These are our new vendors. I really probably should have introduced myself as the new market manager, but never got to that. And, but other than that, we tend to stay a little bit dormant during the winter just to give ourselves a little bit of a mental break and to not be posting when we're not actually putting on our event, just so that the winter farmers markets can kind of hold the space for us. And then we do post during the week a little bit, like I had said before, just to generate some content, like scenes from this past week's market, something like that, or doing our humans at the market post, or reiterating some rules. But other than that, we try to just mainly post more around our market. If that is a good strategy, I'm not 100% sure, but it does seem to generate quite a bit of views. So works for us.
So any final thoughts or words of wisdom you want to share?
Yeah, my words of wisdom would just be, it's gotten easier to do it. So just make sure that you're giving yourself grace to learn as much as you can. What's really cool about Instagram, TikTok, and even a little bit on Facebook are people are making careers out of being content coaches. So you can find templates to create a post. You can go on Pinterest or on Facebook or Google, and it'll tell you how to create a post schedule for yourself. And it'll give you lots of different ideas to generate content for your account so that you're not racking your brains or totally feeling out of your depth and overwhelmed when you see all these influencers who seem to know exactly what to do and generate beautiful content that's getting a bazillion likes. There are lots of ways that you can get help, especially if you don't have it in your budget to hire somebody to do it for you or have a volunteer who's willing to like really be in the trenches with you. And so yeah, just try as hard as you can. Give yourself grace. It takes a while to build a platform. Like Mandy said, share content amongst other creators around you. Share the posts of your customers, share the posts of your vendors, and just make it as supportive and community-based as you possibly can, because that's what we are, a community. And creating the online community is just as important as creating the actual physical community. We want people to see our posts and feel engaged and welcome to come out. And then we want them to come out and see how good it is out here. So don't feel overwhelmed. Don't get in over your head. Just make lists of things that you would like to promote and then check off your lists each week. Stay consistent and just don't beat yourself up if it's not working out right away. A following takes a while to be built.
Mandy, how about you?
Yeah, I agree. It takes a hot minute to get a following going. So I just know I've been in situations as a market person, manager, director, whatever, where you come in, you're fixing a market or you're starting a new market. And I would say it takes a good year or two for that social media account to really blow up. Once you get past 100 followers, it starts building more quickly, but it takes a minute. So don't be hard on yourself. As market managers, we're juggling so much. I mean, we're juggling safety and making sure all the vendors are happy, the patrons are happy, your community partners are happy, whoever you're doing the market for, whether it be a city or organization, there's so many different people you're trying to please. So social media, that should be the fun part for you if it can be. And I think consistency is super important. So if you only have time for a post a week, make it consistent so people know when to expect it. If you have a lot of free time and say you're not strong on something else at market manager, if you can blow up your social media with lots of content, I'm all for it because people crave that interaction. But it's just a great platform to get out important information, fun information, and again, making people feel welcome. Most of us, we live looking at our phones now. That's just how society is. So if you can get them engaged on their phone, then that's going to then draw them in physically to your market, which is truly what you want. And just have fun. I agree. I love that Hannah's talking about not stress. You don't want to stress over it. And there are lots of templates. And I mean, Instagram makes it so easy. If you don't know what to do, you can grab a trendy song and then we'll match it with the content that you have. Just learn how to use the tools that each platform offers too. That helps you create engaging content easily if you don't know what the heck you're doing. And everyone learns over time. But yeah, I think it's important to have fun.
Well, thank you to both of you for joining us on INFMCP's podcast on social media. You've been listening to Let's Talk Farmers Markets. This podcast is copyrighted to the Indiana Cooperative Development Center, which retains all rights to the content. The podcast was produced by Lee Llewellyn at FOS Studios in Carmel, Indiana. Theme music was written and performed by Lee Llewellyn.